Hi, and welcome to day 3 of my 65 days of TypeScript Challenges challenge. All right, today I'm going to be working on this challenge, just going through them in order. So this was 1, this is 2, this is 3, and today's challenge is about implementing the read-only generic type without using it. Okay, let's pop into the challenge and let's understand what that means. So given a type which has some parameters that you can read from and modify, we want to pass our type into the myReadOnly utility and have that return a type which we can use to assign an object literal to. But when we try to modify the properties of that object literal, we should get errors saying we can't reassign a read-only property. One thing I'm going to point out, first of all, is that the reason we're able to assign this object to this read-only version of to do is because we are assigning the object at the same time we're creating it. Well, at least that's why I understand that we're able to assign an object to a read-only type, and in that object assign values to the object's properties. Okay, so moving on, I think it's clear that given any type, we want to look through each property in the type and we want to change those properties to enforce a read-only constraint on them. Cool. So let's pop over to our test. What we're going to do is we're going to look at our tests, and then we're going to try and implement the type. And hopefully when we're done, we're going to have all our tests passing. So first thing is, let's look at our test. Our test expects that the myReadOnly utility converts to do one to a type value that's equal to the value that the TypeScript standard library read-only utility will convert that to do one type into. Right, so we're just checking that the read-only utility we define works the same way as the read-only utility that exists in the TypeScript standard library. And the type we're going to be using is this to do one type. It has title, description, completed, meta, author, etc. Okay, cool. So now let's jump into actually defining our own version of myReadOnly. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to iterate over every property in our original type T. So let's do that. So key in T, we want to assign that a value of I want to give you the actual original type it was given. So we're going to go into T and access the property, the type value using the property. And just like yesterday in challenge 2, we're getting errors saying T is now assignable to type string, number, or symbol, and that's a clue telling us that what we're using is too broad. Because at this point T can be literally anything, including values that don't fall within the values of the keys used in this object. So let's constrain that using the keyof operator. Cool, that seems to solve that issue. But at this point, our tests are still failing, right? Because all we've done is effectively just pass the T type through our read-only generic type. We haven't really done anything. The last thing we're going to do is to use the read-only keyword to say that every property should take on a read-only value. And I think yeah, I think that's everything we have to do to get this working. Um, because our test passed. But I'm curious about something, right? When I was reading the book Effective TypeScript, there was a note saying how read-only is shallow. So I'm curious about whether this property, the author property that's nested in the meta property of to do, actually gets the read-only property. Is actually read-only by virtue of the fact that we've made meta read-only. So let's try to see if we can assign something to meta the author. So first of all, um, let's do constant to do of type to do one get value, and we're just copying all of this stuff. Oof, so many errors. And yeah, let's just put in empty strings, empty strings, empty string, empty string. Okay, I think we're forgetting our commas. Cool. All right, so now we have, oh, what's this? String that's to boolean. Oh, that's a boolean. Okay, so now we have an object in the value space of type to do one. We don't want it to be of type to do one to confirm what we want to confirm. We want it to be of type read only to do one. Cool. And so hopefully when we try to assign values to any of these properties in to do, we will get error saying those properties are read only. So let's try with just title for starters. To do dot title gets the value change title. Okay, so what does it say? It says cannot assign to title because it is a read-only property. Awesome. That seems to work as expected, but this is what I'm curious about. Will we be able to assign a value to meta.author, right? So to do dot author, oh sorry, dot meta dot author gets the value new value. Yay, we can. Yeah, so I really just wanted to confirm that and to point out that even though we have made the properties of to do read only, we haven't made any nested properties in to do read only, and this shows that that's the case. Yeah, so that's it for challenge 3. This was a pretty straightforward challenge. See you again tomorrow, hopefully, for challenge 4.